I gripped the edge of the mahogany dining table, my knuckles white as bone, the polished wood cool and unyielding beneath my trembling fingers. My sister Claire's voice slashed through me like a razor, sharp and deliberate. Lila, you're a leech on this family, chasing fairy tales while we carry the Whitmore name. You're nothing but a drain. Her words burned, a venomous echo of years of scorn, each syllable dripping with contempt. My brother, Ethan, leaned back in his chair, smirking, his tailored suit catching the chandelier's fractured light. Face it, sis, you're a charity case, too weak to hack it in our world. He hissed, his voice a cold blade, his eyes glinting with cruel amusement. My parents sat like statues at the head of the table, Mom Evelyn with her icy glare, lips pursed like she'd swallowed a lemon, her diamond earrings glinting coldly, Dad Daniel staring at his plate, silent as a coward, his fork idle in his calloused hand. The chandelier's prisms cast jagged shadows across the room, slicing into my heart, mirroring the cracks in our family. The air was thick, heavy with the scent of rosemary and roasted lamb, clinging to my throat like a noose. I'd come to this Seattle mansion dinner craving one crumb of belief, one flicker of pride in their eyes, but they buried me in contempt, their judgment a suffocating fog. My chest tightened, my palms slick with sweat, as I fought the urge to scream or flee. They didn't know that tomorrow Dad's boss would bow to me, calling me, and their throne of lies would topple into dust. Stick around, this tale of betrayal, vengeance, and victory will grip you. How far would you go to shatter their doubts? I was Lila Whitmore, 27, the black sheep of a real estate dynasty forged by my father Daniel, over 35 brutal years. Our Queen and Hill estate loomed over Seattle, its ivy-strangled walls a fortress of wealth, the Puget Sound glinting below like a taunting mirror of their power. The mansion's tall windows stared down at me, cold and unyielding, reflecting a legacy I'd never fit. Mom Evelyn, a faded socialite, ruled charity galas with a smile as cold as marble, her hands always clutching a wine glass or a cause, her eyes scanning me for flaws like a jeweler inspecting a cracked gem. Dad, a bulldog in a suit, barked orders at Whitmore Properties, demanding we all salute his legacy, his gravelly voice echoing through boardrooms and our home alike, a constant reminder of his dominion. Ethan, 32, was his prodigy, slick, cutthroat, a vice president with blood on his hands and a grin to hide it, always polishing his cufflinks to signal his power, his charm a polished weapon. Claire, 30, the golden daughter, wed to a Wall Street shark named Preston, wielded our investments like a guillotine, slicing anything that didn't profit, her sharp laugh a constant reminder of my place at the bottom of their hierarchy. Me? I bolted from their corporate cage, chasing a law degree for tenant rights, fighting for the powerless, families crushed by greed, people like the ones I'd met in college, struggling to keep a roof over their heads, their stories of survival etched into my soul. You're throwing your life away, Lila. Dad roared when I chose law school, his voice a sledgehammer to my dreams, his face red with fury as he paced the study, papers scattering like leaves in a storm. 2 months ago, the knife sank deeper. Claire and Ethan conspired to gut me from the family trust. She'll bleed us dry with her do-gooder garbage. Claire spat in a secret meeting I overheard, her heels clicking on the hardwood as she paced, faking emails to paint me as a reckless fool. I'd hidden behind the study door, heart pounding, hearing Dad grunt in agreement, his pen scratching as he signed my exile. His signature sealed it, no inheritance, no love, just a wound that festered, a betrayal that left me gasping for air, my knees buckling in the shadowed hallway. But that wasn't the only secret festering in our family. A deeper betrayal, one I'd only begun to unravel, lay buried in the past. My Aunt Margaret, Dad's estranged sister, had vanished from our lives when I was a child, her name erased from family law like a stain. I'd found her letters in the attic years ago, hidden in a dusty trunk, her handwriting pleading for reconciliation, hinting at a scandal, something about Dad seizing her share of the family business through deceit. Daniel, you stole my future, one letter read, the ink smudged with tears. I'd kept it secret, a puzzle piece I couldn't place until recently, when a cryptic email from an anonymous source whispered of Margaret's return, her intent to reclaim what was hers. This subplot, a shadow over our family's wealth, gnawed at me as I sat at that dinner table, wondering if Claire and Ethan knew, if their greed stemmed from fear of losing it all. Another layer complicated my fight. My ex-friend Julian, a tech whiz who'd once been my confidant, had joined Ethan's inner circle, feeding him dirt on my cases. Julian's betrayal stung, late-night talks in college, sharing dreams of justice, now twisted into ammunition against me. I'd caught his IP address in the hacked emails Claire used to frame me, a digital fingerprint tying him to their scheme. These threads, Margaret's ghost, Julian's treachery, Crane's corruption, wove a web I'd need to untangle to claim my truth. The air at dinner choked me, thick with the scent of rosemary and lamb, the clatter of forks a battle drum against the polished table. Claire stabbed her steak, glaring at me, her eyes like daggers under her perfectly arched brows. Grow up, Lila. Quit slumming it with losers and beg for a desk at Dad's firm. She snapped, her voice a whip, her pearl necklace glinting with each venomous word. Ethan laughed, cold and sharp, his wine glass glinting as he tilted it mockingly. You're a joke, little sis. What's your plan? Save the world and starve. We're done wiping your ass. He sneered, his teeth flashing, his arrogance a wall I'd never breach. Dad's fork froze mid-bite, his eyes dodging mine, and he muttered, Lila, we can't fund your delusions forever, his voice low, heavy with disappointment, his knuckles whitening around his knife. Mom's voice dripped acid, we raised you for greatness, not this pathetic crusade. Her words slicing through the air, her silk scarf slipping as she leaned forward, her disdain palpable. My pulse hammered, my palms slick under the table, their words a firing squad, each shot tearing through years of hope I'd clung to like a lifeline. I stared at the faded floral tablecloth, memories flooding back, childhood dinners where they'd praised Ethan's school projects, Claire's debate wins, while my drawings and stories got a pat and a that's nice dear. The room spun, the chandelier's light blurring as I fought to breathe, their voices a storm drowning me. They didn't see I'd spent a year, sleepless, relentless, building a case against Victor Crane, Dad's sleazy top client, a slumlord bleeding tenants dry. I'd pored over leases, interviewed families, their tearful voices haunting me, single moms evicted in winter, kids sleeping in cars, their desperation a mirror of my own. Secrets churned below, Ethan was siphoning Crane's cash to secret accounts. I'd found the proof in a dropped flash drive, numbers screaming his guilt, transactions hidden in late-night emails traced to offshore banks. Claire, meanwhile, was looting Mom's gala funds to patch her bad bets, a truth buried in bank statements I'd clawed through at 3 a.m., my laptop's glow burning my eyes, my fingers trembling as I uncovered her lies. My hands shook as I gripped my water glass, the ice clinking like my rattled nerves, the cold seeping into my palm. I swallowed my rage, my voice low, trembling but resolute. You think I'm nothing? Keep eating your lies. Their eyes flickered, a moment of unease, but Claire smirked. Dream on, Lila, and the assault resumed. What would you do if your own blood turned against you? I retreated to my childhood bedroom after dinner, the stairs creaking under my weight, each step a reminder of the years I'd spent trying to belong. The hallway was a gallery of triumph, framed photos of Ethan's promotions, Claire's wedding, their smiles frozen in gold frames, but nothing of me, not even my high school graduation. The absence stung, a silent scream of my irrelevance. My room was a relic, posters of justice heroes like Ruth Bader Ginsburg, debate trophies gathering dust, a faded quilt Mom made when I was 10, its stitches fraying like our bond. I sank onto the bed, the mattress sagging under my weight, and ran my fingers over the quilt stitching, the soft cotton grounding me against the chaos. Memories flooded in, the night I told them about law school, my heart racing with hope. The law? For poor people? Mom had scoffed, her wine glass trembling in her hand, her eyes wide with disbelief. You're a Whitmore, not a bleeding heart. Dad had slammed his fist on the desk, shouting, You'll regret this, Lila. You're meant for boardrooms, not courtrooms. Their rejection had fueled me, pushed me to graduate top of my class, to take on cases no one else would touch, families facing eviction, workers cheated by bosses like Crane. I opened my suitcase, pulling out a folder thick with evidence. Victor Crane's trail of lies, forged repair logs, tenant pleas scrawled in desperate handwriting. My heart raced as I traced the pages, the weight of tomorrow pressing down like a storm cloud. The gala loomed, a battlefield where I'd expose them all, not just for me, but for every soul Crane had crushed. Downstairs, I heard Claire's laugh, sharp and mocking. She'll come crawling back when she's broke, and Ethan's reply, low and smug. Let her crash and burn, sis. My resolve hardened, a steel core forming amid the pain, my fingers tightening around the folder. I'd show them, but first I'd survive this house, this family, this night. Sleep eluded me, the glow-in-the-dark stars on my ceiling, remnants of a hopeful childhood, mocking my restlessness. I tossed, the quilt tangling around my legs, my mind racing through the evidence, the plan, the risks. What if Dad disowned me entirely? What if Crane's connections crushed me? I rose, pacing the creaky floor, the moonlight slicing through the curtains, casting bars across the room like a cage. I pulled out Aunt Margaret's letters again, hidden in my suitcase, their yellowed pages crisp under my fingers. Daniel betrayed me, Lila, she'd written, took my shares, left me with nothing. Beware his ambition. The words chilled me, a warning from a woman I barely remembered, her face vague in my mind, dark hair, kind eyes, a smile that faded when Dad's name was spoken. I'd tracked her down last month, a private investigator's report confirming she was alive, living quietly in Portland, planning to sue for her stolen share. Her email, anonymous but unmistakable, had arrived last week. Lila, I see your fight. We're not so different. Call me. I hadn't, not yet, but her shadow fueled my fire, a reminder that Dad's greed had hurt more than me. Another memory surfaced, Julian, my college friend, his betrayal a fresh wound. We'd dreamed of changing the world, him coding apps for justice, me fighting in court. But money turned him, and now he hacked for Ethan, feeding Ethan my own case notes, his sorry Lila, business is business, text a slap I couldn't recover from. I clenched my fists, the room's walls pressing in, the silence heavy with the weight of old books and older pain. Dawn crept in, grey and heavy, the Puget Sound a dull shimmer beyond the window. I dressed, jeans and a sweater, my movements mechanical, my mind a war room. Today was the gala, the reckoning, the end of their lies or mine. Morning broke, and I hit the abyss. In my dingy Capitol Hill apartment, rain lashed the windows, the radiator spitting heat like a dying beast, its hiss a mocking echo of my despair. My bank app glared, $312.47, the numbers stark against the screen, a testament to my exile. No trust, no family. Claire and Ethan had won, Dad's betrayal in black ink on the trust documents I'd found, his scrawled signature a dagger through my heart. I paced the creaking floor, law books teetering on my thrift store desk, their spines cracked from sleepless nights. My chest was a furnace of fury and grief, the walls closing in, peeling paint flaking like my hope, the damp air heavy with mildew and defeat. I'd spent nights here, hunched over files, coffee cold, chasing justice while they dined in luxury, their laughter a distant taunt. Memories stung. Dad teaching Ethan to negotiate deals at 16, his hand on his shoulder, proud, Mom coaching Claire for galas, adjusting her dress, beaming, while I got lectures on real success, my dreams dismissed as childish. My phone buzzed, and Maya, my fierce paralegal ally, shouted through the static, "Lila, we've got him. Crane's fraud, your case, it's breaking wide open. The city's suing, and Whitmore's tangled in it." Tears scalded my cheeks, hot and bitter, streaming down as I sank to the floor. My work had toppled a giant, but it might crush Dad's empire too, a cruel twist I hadn't foreseen. The rug scratched my knees, sobs racking me as their betrayal echoed, "You're nothing, Lila." I saw their faces, Claire's sneer, Ethan's smirk, Dad's silence, each a wound deeper than the last, a gallery of rejection painted across my mind. But a fire ignited, blazing through the pain, a spark of defiance that refused to die. I'd face Crane at the Whitmore Gala tonight, expose their rot, and make them choke on their words. I stood, wiping my face, staring at my reflection in a cracked mirror, eyes red, jaw set, a warrior forged in their neglect. I'd fought for others, now I'd fight for me, for the girl they'd tried to erase. If you're hooked on this comeback, hit that like button, because it only gets better from here. The day unfolded like a taut wire, each hour a test of my nerve. I sat at my desk, papers spread like a battlefield, reviewing every detail. Crane's fake invoices, tenant testimonies, Ethan's hidden accounts, each page a weapon in my arsenal. My hands shook as I traced the numbers, millions stolen from families, funneled through shell companies, the ink blurring as my eyes burned with exhaustion. Maya arrived, her dark curls bouncing, her voice urgent. "Lila, the city's lawyers are ready, your evidence is airtight." We strategized, plotting every move for the gala, my pulse racing like a war drum, my mind mapping every exit, every face I'd confront. I thought of the tenants, Maria, a single mom, crying as she described her eviction, her voice breaking over a crackling phone, little Sam, clutching a toy car in a shelter, his eyes wide with fear. Their pain drove me, a fire against my family's scorn, a purpose that anchored me amid the storm. I showered, the hot water stinging, washing away doubt, the steam curling like my resolve. My black dress hung ready, simple but sharp, its fabric cool against my skin as I slipped it on, my law badge tucked in my clutch, a hidden sword, its weight grounding me. I pinned my hair, each motion deliberate, my fingers steady despite the tremor in my chest, my reflection in the mirror a stranger's, fierce, unbroken. The clock ticked, each second louder, the air buzzing with anticipation, the hum of the city beyond my window a distant battle cry. I drove to the Fairmont Olympic, Seattle's lights blurring past, my hands tight on the wheel, sweat beading on my brow, the salt of Puget Sound faint in the night air. The hotel rose like a fortress, its golden glow a mask for the war within, its marble steps gleaming under the drizzle. I parked, took a breath, my heart a drumbeat, and stepped out, the click of my heels on the pavement a declaration of intent. I was ready to face the storm, to tear down their lies, to claim my truth. But before the gala, another twist emerged, a shadow from the past that threatened to derail my plan. I'd received a call from Aunt Margaret that morning, her voice low and urgent, breaking years of silence. "Lila, I'm in Seattle," she said, her words clipped, heavy with purpose. "I know what you're planning tonight. I'm coming to the gala. Daniel needs to face us both." My breath caught, my mind reeling as I stood in my apartment, the phone trembling in my hand. Margaret's return wasn't just a family secret, it was a bomb that could shatter Dad's empire, exposing his theft of her shares decades ago. She'd sent me documents overnight, old contracts, board minutes, proving Dad had forged her signature to seize her stake in Whitmore Properties, leaving her penniless. "I trusted him," she'd whispered, her voice cracking, "and he betrayed me like he's betraying you." I'd agreed to meet her before the gala, a clandestine rendezvous at a dimly lit coffee shop near the hotel. She was older now, her dark hair streaked with gray, her eyes sharp but weary, carrying the weight of years in exile. "Lila, you're brave," she said, sliding a folder across the table, her fingers trembling. "Use this tonight, it's his downfall." The folder held more than evidence against Dad. It named Crane as his accomplice, their partnership rooted in dirty deals from the 90s. My stomach churned. Exposing Crane meant exposing Dad's past, a choice that could destroy him. I left the shop, Margaret's words echoing. "We're in this together, Lila. Don't flinch." Her presence at the gala would complicate everything, a wild card I hadn't planned for, but her pain mirrored mine, a shared wound fueling our fight. Another layer of betrayal surfaced as I prepared. Julian's role grew darker. I'd hacked into his email, guilt gnawing at me but necessity overriding ethics, and found messages to Ethan, not just leaking my case notes but sabotaging my allies. He'd fed lies to the city's housing board, claiming my evidence was forged, delaying the lawsuit to protect Crane. "Lila's a dreamer, not a threat," he'd written, his words a knife in my back, his betrayal a twisted echo of our college nights, coding and dreaming under starry skies. I'd confronted him last week, meeting at a pier, the wind whipping my hair, his face pale as I showed him the emails. "Why, Julian?" I'd demanded, my voice breaking. He'd shrugged, eyes cold. "Money talks, Lila. You picked the wrong side." His words haunted me as I dressed for the gala, a reminder that betrayal wasn't just family, it was everywhere, a poison seeping into every bond. I'd need to neutralize him tonight, expose his role alongside Ethan's, a double strike that would shake the room. My plan grew sharper, a blade honed by every slight, every lie, every tear I'd shed in silence. The Fairmont Olympic ballroom glittered like a war zone, chandeliers blazing, their prisms scattering light like shrapnel, the air heavy with champagne and deceit. My black dress clung to me, its fabric a second skin, my law badge a hidden weapon in my clutch, nerves sparking like a live fuse. Dad loomed near the stage, barking laughs with Victor Crane, a hulking predator with a grin like broken glass, his suit stretched tight over greed, his eyes scanning the room like a vulture. Ethan strutted, smug, adjusting his tie with a flourish, his charm a mask for his crimes. Claire dazzled investors, her diamond earrings flashing, her laugh a sharp trill, blind to the storm I'd unleash. The crowd buzzed, glasses clinking, laughter grating against my ears, the scent of perfume and ambition choking the air. My dossier, emails, ledgers, tenant cries, now joined by Margaret's documents, burned in my bag, proof of Crane's crimes, Ethan's greed, and Dad's buried sins. I lingered by a marble pillar, heart pounding, watching Dad slap Crane's back, oblivious to the rot at his side. I'd met Crane once, years ago, at a company picnic, his handshake slimy, his eyes leering as he'd said, "Little Whitmore, stick to Daddy's business." Now I'd bury him, his empire, his lies. The keynote began, a VP droning about profits, his voice a dull hum against my racing pulse. I saw my chance, my legs moving before my mind caught up, the crowd parting as I stormed the podium, my heels clicking like gunfire. "I'm Lila Whitmore, and I'm here to rip the mask off this filth," I declared, my voice steel, cutting through the room like a blade. The room froze, breaths held, eyes wide, a sea of stunned faces. Victor Crane evicts families, fakes fixes, steals millions. My brother, Ethan, buries the profits offshore, and my father, I paused, Margaret's face flashing in my mind, her documents heavy in my bag, has built this empire on lies. I thrust the evidence up, papers shaking in my grip, pages of lies exposed, leases, bank transfers, Margaret's stolen shares. Gasps erupted, a woman dropped her glass, the shatter loud in the silence. Dad's face blazed red, then drained white, his hands clenching, his eyes locking on mine, shock and fear warring within. "Liar!" Crane bellowed, lunging, his face twisted, veins bulging, but guards pinned him, his arms flailing, his roar echoing. Ethan stammered, "Lila, you traitor, you'll ruin us." His voice cracking, eyes wild, his tie askew. Claire hissed, "You jealous little brat, stop this." Her hands on her hips, face pale, her composure crumbling. Then Margaret stepped from the shadows, her presence a quiet thunder, her grey-streaked hair catching the light. "She's right, Daniel," she said, her voice steady, cutting through the chaos. "You stole my life, and now your daughter's paying for it." The crowd gasped again, whispers rippling. "Who's she?" "Daniel's sister." Dad staggered, clutching a chair, his face ashen. Then Elena Voss, Crane Holdings CEO, silver hair flashing, strode forward, her heels a sharp staccato. Her eyes pierced mine, steady, commanding, and she declared, "Your guts just saved this company from a snake. You've got my respect and our gratitude." The crowd roared, a wave of shock and awe, Dad's knees buckled and my heart soared. Justice, raw, electric, mine. The aftermath was a whirlwind, a storm of light and sound. Reporters swarmed, cameras flashing like lightning, voices shouting, "Ms. Whitmore, how'd you uncover this? Is your father complicit?" I stood tall, voice calm, my dress catching the light as I faced them. "The evidence speaks, justice for the tenants comes first." Guards hauled Crane away, his curses echoing, sweat beading on his brow, his suit rumpled as he thrashed. Dad stumbled to a chair, Mom rushing to him, her hands fluttering, whispering, "Daniel, how could this happen?" Her eyes darted to me, fear and confusion warring, her scarf slipping. Ethan paced, phone in hand, muttering, I'm done," his bravado gone, his face pale as he dialed lawyers, his fingers fumbling. Claire glared, spitting, "You've destroyed us, Lila. Happy now?" Her voice shrill, her earrings swinging as she stormed toward me. I met her eyes, steady, unyielding. "You destroyed yourselves, greed did this." The crowd parted as Elena Voss approached again, her presence a quiet storm, her tailored suit sharp against the chaos. We're cutting ties with Crane," she said, firm, her voice low but carrying weight. "Your work exposed a cancer, we need you on our side." I nodded, adrenaline surging, the weight of victory sinking in, my chest swelling with pride. Dad caught my arm, eyes wet, his grip trembling. "Lila, I didn't see. I failed you." His voice broke, a crack in his armor, his face etched with regret. I pulled back, calm but firm. "You chose them, Dad. Face it." Margaret stood nearby, watching, her eyes soft but unyielding, a silent ally in my triumph. The night blurred, meetings with lawyers, calls from the city, tenants' voices thanking me through tears, their gratitude a balm to my wounds. I drove home, the rain a steady drum, my heart pounding with purpose, the taste of triumph sharp and real, the city's lights a mosaic of my fight. But the victory wasn't the end, it was a beginning, a new battlefield. The next weeks were a blur of courtrooms, headlines, and family fallout. Crane's indictment dominated the news, his face plastered across screens, a fallen titan. Ethan's accounts were frozen, his charges piling up: fraud, money laundering, conspiracy. He'd called me once from jail, his voice hollow. "Lila, I didn't mean for it to go this far." I hung up, my heart heavy but resolute, his plea too late to mend the years of scorn. Claire's theft was exposed, her gala funds traced to her failed investments, her reputation in tatters. She'd sent a letter, her script shaky. "I was scared, Lila. I'm sorry." I didn't reply, not yet, the wound too fresh, her betrayal too deep. Dad's firm teetered, clients fleeing, his legacy crumbling like sand. He visited my apartment, a rare act, his suit rumpled, his eyes red. "Lila, I built this for you all, but I lost you." I listened, my jaw tight, as he spoke of his youth, his fear of poverty, his drive to secure the family. Excuses, but truths too. "I stole from Margaret," he admitted, voice breaking, "to save the company. I thought I had to." I nodded, silent, the weight of his confession heavy. Margaret's lawsuit moved forward, her claim splitting the firm's assets, a justice long delayed. I met her weekly, her stories of resilience shaping me, her strength a mirror to mine. Julian's role unraveled too. He'd fled, but his emails were public, his sabotage exposed, his career a wreck. I saw him once at a coffee shop, his face gaunt. "I messed up, Lila," he said, eyes down. "You chose money," I replied, walking away, my heart lighter but scarred. 6 months later, I leaned against the glass of my new office, Seattle's skyline sprawling below, the Space Needle a sentinel in the twilight, its lights piercing the dusk. Crane was in cuffs, his empire sentenced. Ethan faced years behind bars, his charm useless. Claire scrambled, her wealth gone, her apology a whisper in the wind. Dad's firm clung to life, bleeding but breathing, and he turned to me, voice raw. "Lila, help me fix this, please, I need you." I'd won $1 million for tenants, rebuilt their homes. Maria hugged me, sobbing. "You gave us hope, Lila," her arms warm, her tears soaking my shirt. Sam, the boy from the shelter, sent a drawing, a house with a smiley face, now framed above my desk, a beacon of why I fought. Elena Voss named me lead counsel, a crown I'd forged in fire, my office a testament to my rise, sleek, oak-paneled, the city's pulse at my feet. At my desk, the leather chair cool, I traced the scars, trust butchered, a family torn by greed, there lies a chain I'd broken. "You're nothing," they'd sneered, but I'd clawed my way up, not for their cheers, but for me, for the woman I'd become. Betrayal stings like a blade when it's family, a wound that bleeds slow, but triumph isn't revenge, it's standing tall when they'd bury you. I fought for truth, for the broken, for the girl they scorned, through nights of doubt, days of battle, threats from Crane's allies, anonymous notes, slashed tires, shadows trailing me home. I'd face them all, my resolve a fortress, my allies, Maya, Margaret, the tenants, my army. Dad rebuilt, slow, his pride humbled, asking now, "Lila, how'd you learn this strength?" Mom smiled, tentative, at a dinner I hosted, her praise awkward. "You're our star, Lila." Claire visited, quiet, seeking peace. Ethan's letters grew, seeking forgiveness I might one day give. Healing crept in, fragile but real, a bridge over the chasm. I walked to my window, the city alive below, lights pulsing like my heartbeat. Years of pain, of "you're nothing," fueled this fire, a legacy I'd forged, not inherited. I'd stood for justice, for the silenced, and won, not their world but mine. We don't pick our scars, but we wield our fight. Subscribe for more real stories with real consequences. This is just the beginning. I lingered at the window, the horizon a canvas of dusk and dawn, my mind drifting to the battles ahead. The tenants' fund grew, new cases piled, workers exploited, families displaced, each a fight I'd take. I'd launched a non-profit, Justice Rising, with Maya, our mission to shield the vulnerable, our logo a fist raised against a skyline. Margaret joined, her wisdom a guide, her lawsuit settled, her share restored, her smile a victory we shared. Dad's firm shifted, ethical now, his board diverse, his pride in me a quiet glow. Mom sent gifts, books, a scarf, small acts of repair. Claire rebuilt, her arrogance shed. Ethan's release loomed, a test of mercy I wasn't ready for. Julian's shadow faded, his betrayal a lesson in trust. I reflected on my youth, debates won, dreams mocked, a girl who dared to dream beyond the Whitmore name. The gala wasn't the end, it was a spark, a fire that lit my path. You've seen me rise, what's your fight? Share your story below, hit that like, and join me for more tales of triumph over betrayal. This is our story and it's only begun.